Hey everybody, welcome back to 6 Online Day 2. It's Meg here again with the wonderful Alchemist Joker. We while you were away, we made up. We got over our beef of Team X and Team O. Now we're friends again. A lot's been happening.
We've united the warring clans, and now we are Team EXO.
And now they are not warring. Now they are peaceful. Yes, very good. Now we're going to be checking out 3 in a Rogue, and I am super excited. We've gotten to see so many amazing games today, and we've got another one for you right now with 3 in a Rogue. We've got some of the devs here to hang out with us and show us their game and talk a little bit about it. Thank you so much for being here, and welcome.
Hello.
Can you tell us a little bit about your game?
Yeah, hi, I'm Wyatt. This is 3 in a Rogue. I made this, or I guess you're not seeing the game yet. You will see the game. I made that you will see. The 3 in a Rogue is a match 3 roguelike. So if you're not familiar with a match 3 game, it's Bejeweled. That's the most popular match 3 game. Maybe Candy Crush. I don't know if Bejeweled is still popular anymore. But it's where you've got colorful things, you put them in rows of 3 and good stuff happens. That, but like mashed into a roguelike. It's very funny this game follows up Penguin, because Penguin is like broadly very similar. Like we're cut from very similar cloth in that way.
I love it. That's perfect. Now let's go check out a trailer for this game and see what it looks like. That was another trailer that had me bopping in my chair. Great music.
I love.
I can't take any credit for that, but
the gentleman at the end, music's scary. No.
I'll have you know that actually that was a lady voice actor who recorded that evil laughter. But wow. Yeah, I can't take any credit for the awesome music. But Ryan Yoshikami, who helped me work on this game as well as other games that we've made together, did all the music and most of the sound design for this game. So he's the one who made the game sound so great. Shall we dive in?
Yes.
Yeah, let's jump in. Please.
All right. So I'm actually gonna do a little bit of an automated playthrough. So this is a gameplay recording. This is not pre-recorded footage because I am running the game, but I am pre-recorded. I have some pre-recorded inputs that are gonna play for us. So this is sort of a tool-assisted speed run of 3 in a Rogue. It's not very fast, but so I'm going to show off. So, it's a grid-based kind of like action-adventure RPG. You can swing a sword, you can shoot arrows, you can break barrels and get money. Action RPG stuff. Oh no, what is this? A rat? Who could have possibly expected this? So this is how combat works in this game. It's actually going to be a little different from the trailer because I had this new way to move gems around that wasn't quite ready for the trailer, but it is ready for here. So you can move a gem anywhere horizontally or vertically from where it started, and when you do that, it nudges all of the other gems out of the way. So it's a bit more strategically deep than that's the standard sort of just swap mechanic you'd see in like Bejeweled, for instance. And every time you make a match of 3 or more, it puts it in that little inventory towards the middle. and that's where you can actually spend them to do the ability. So as you can see right now, I'm doing matches, so I'm not actually doing any actions, but now I am. So I'm going to turn, going to run into the snake, which will stun him. And since he's stunned, I have an extra turn that I can use to get another match, which I can use to then kill him.
So I have, okay, so first of all, I love the idea of taking a couple of different like disparate genres and putting them together. I definitely can see why you say that this and Peglin are cut from the same cloth, and it is a very fine cloth indeed. But I do have some questions on how some of these things look, because like obviously, you match 3 and the tiles disappear. And you mentioned that as you do that, they kind of stack up. Is there a particular order in like how many of those tiles you can have before you have to do attacks?
Yeah, so like you can see the inventory, the little like that bar of in the middle that is like the stack of gems in the middle. It is like physically finite. And what'll happen is that if you overflow that, then you'll lose your bottommost gem. So it doesn't force you to use them, but you do use them or lose them, basically.
That's cool. On that same kind of note here, is there a specific order that you have to use those in? Because it looks like you're kind of just grabbing whichever ones you want from that. Is it like which ones you got first? Is it any of them? It's any of them. You can use whichever ones you want. The original idea for this game was that you would make a match and you'd immediately do that action, which feels a lot tighter design-wise, but as it turns out, is really not fun to play, because you'll end up like, oh, I wanted to hit this guy, but instead I turned 180 degrees, walked one step off a ledge, and now like I'm in entirely the wrong place, and everything is terrible. My day is ruined. So yeah, I give you a lot of agency of how you use the matches you got. Like there, for instance, where I could just turn around and get this guy. So we just got our first treasure chest. This is an item that what it does is it replaces your ranged attack with your melee attack, so you get twice as much melee attack. In this case, I chose not to take it. There are builds that might make sense for it, but not what I was going for this run.
Now, I noticed just then you actually matched 4 tiles, and now that step forward has a 2 to it. Is there any, like in standard matching games, you have, not only the 3 in a row and 4 in a row, but sometimes you'll have different like patterns like make a cross or make a plus. Do those confer additional benefits to the player if they are able to make those types of matches?
That's an interesting question. So I guess I'll answer the question you didn't ask, which is that if you make a 4 in a row, you get 2x of whatever action that is. And if you get a 5 in a row, it's 3x of that action. And 6 in a row is, in theory, like 4x, but it's pretty hard to get a 6 in a row. That's interesting. So your question was that if you make like the T shape or the elbow, it is currently just counted as whatever number of gems it was. Like if you got an elbow shape that's 5 gems, that's just counted as if it were a 5 in a row, even though it isn't technically a row. However, when you do get a match of 5, there is a special thing that happens, or 5 or more. There is a special thing that happens. We'll see that a little bit later in the run, but we'll keep an eye out for that.
So before we get like super far into this, I have to ask, because I know why the name is what it is and how we got to this, but how long did it take you to come up with 3 in a rogue?
So this game was made for a game jam. The original, sorry, not this game was made over the course of a year, but like the original like game that led to this game was made for a game jam that was 48 hours, and somehow in that 48 hours I had come up with 3 in a rogue. So I guess the answer is between 1 and 48 hours.
I love it.
Closer to about 20.
That's impressive.
Well, and actually what really inspired it is that, like, because this genre has different names for different people. I know it as match 3, and I think that that's more of like a technical kind of industry term for it. Like I think that if you got a random person off the street and asked them like, hey, what genre is this? They probably wouldn't think to call it match 3. Like Alchemist, I think earlier you said matching game. And someone who I was showing it to said, "Oh, it's like a 3 in a row game." And I was like, "Yeah, 3 in a row, huh?" So that's sort of where the title came from. So we just found the item shop. So the item shop, I can spend my gold to transform my gems into other gems. And one of the items I bought, this is sort of a Chekhov's gun I'm setting up for later. I just bought an item that transforms my bow into a sideways bow. So rather than shooting 1 arrow forward, I shoot 2 arrows left and right. And maybe I'm gonna forget that I did that. Just maybe foreshadowing for the next room. I might have forgotten that I made that purchase.
Oh no. I think I see where this might be going, and I'm concerned now.
Yeah.
Just commence the dun dun dun.
Right.
So we're about to see a 5 in a row. So what that does is it leaves 1 gem behind, and it becomes a prismatic gem. And what that'll do is that if you use it on a gem, it will consume all of the gems of that color on the board, as if it were one giant match. So that's how you get a match of 5, or a 5x, which is many gems. 7 gems, I guess. So I now have 5x sideways arrows, which is a problem because I'm about to make the biggest mistake of my life. There it is. All right. So I could then turn back around and I can recover from this. But really the big mistake is that if I did this 1 turn before, I could have gotten both this wizard and this archer. I've watched this replay a couple of times, and it hurts every time to watch watch myself make that mistake.
Now, another thing that actually happened during that as much as you say that was a mistake, I feel like that was just an opportunity for you to showcase your brilliant tactical prowess of fixing that one as you were going. But another thing that happened during that I'm actually really curious about is as you made that match with the prismatic tile, a lot of other tiles started kind of cascading down. And since you had already mentioned that when you start the match a lot, it pushes the ones off the bottom, I feel like there's also kind of a bit of a balancing act that you have to do where you can't, like you can see that lovely prismatic gem there and you go, well, I'd like to grab it, but I also have, 7, I have only space for 1 more move. So is there kind of what went into kind of coming up with that balancing for that?
Everything you said makes perfect sense, that is like a thing that you should think about and plan for, but for me, I just kind of go monkey brain. I'm just like, ooh, I want the prismatic gem. Like I do the first thing you said, right? Like, I'd like right here, like I don't really think about the consequences. Like, but I think that's, I think there could be a lot of strategic depth there, and as a player of my own game, I have not really chosen to think about that very much. I sort of play the cards I'm dealt.
So match 3 games have been around for quite a long time, and you've mentioned Bejeweled. Were there any other match 3 games that you have played that help inspire this particular kind of style that you have going for 3 in a row?
So actually, yes. So the way you move gems in 3 in a row, where you can move anywhere in the horizontal or vertical bar, that is not a thing I've seen in Bejeweled, but I have seen it in another match 3 game that I'm not sure I should mention by name on this stream, but just because of the type of content that is in that game. But I think the people who know. It had a surprising amount of strategic depth in its match 3 content, and I just wanted to bring that out into something a little more palatable.
I think oddly enough, I might know exactly which game you're talking about, and I think that's a good call that you have going here. Great inspiration nonetheless.
Yeah.
My face hurts. Okay.
We're all thinking it.
But you are right. The strategic... As we all silence ourselves.
Yeah,
the strategic play style that you have is definitely different. than what we see on a normal basis. So it's a really cool implementation to see, especially in an indie game, and one with, I think, the coolest name I've ever seen for a match 3 game yet. And that's just because I think I have an inner rogue in me that's just like, ooh, 3 in a rogue.
Yeah, right. And actually, there is another game that wasn't directly inspiration from the get-go, but has sort of become inspiration. There's a game called You Must Build a Boat, which is a much less good name for a match 3 game, but it is a match 3, broadly speaking, a match 3 roguelike. But it takes the concept in a very different direction. So that was another game that I looked at. There's like, oh yeah, this is like kind of doing the same thing that I am. But theirs is they don't do the grid-based thing. It's like much more linear, and the way they move gems is also like yet another different mechanism. So there's lots of cool ways you can maneuver around a match 3 board while keeping that core concept of like, you make a match of 3 and it goes away.
I'm fixated on the prismatic gem because I have another question around the prismatic gem. So, you've said that if you get a match of 5, you can kind of get a prismatic gem and you can leave that on the board. I'm certain that there is going to be someone who is trying this game out, which is in early access, so don't forget to wishlist it in Steam. But I'm certain that there's going to be someone who's going to want to know what happens if they match 3 prismatic gems. Like, is that something that you kind of considered in the development of the game, or is that one of those like, that's actually
yes and no. Like I have, so currently I'm sorry to report that in the game, the present build today, it will do nothing. If you line up 3 prismatic gems, nothing will happen. It has occurred to me that like that could be an opportunity to have like some really cool bonus, because like that's not an easy feat to do. Like you'd have to do a lot of board manipulation to get there. So that should be rewarded, and that should have some cool reward, but I don't know what that reward would be. But what does happen is that if you drag a prismatic gem onto another prismatic gem, a really cool feature unlocks where the game crashes. So I have that. It's not quite what you asked for.
That is a nifty feature.
Yeah, right?
I think that means you win.
I think I'm going to take that one out,
right?
though. Yeah, I think players aren't going to like that one super much, so I think I'll end up taking that one out. But yeah. So we got another cool item while we were chatting. I now have a 4-way bow. So now instead of a bow that shoots just 2 directions that are both wrong, it now shoots all 4 directions. So you really can't go wrong.
More useful.
Yeah, so significantly. The items that are in the game are maybe a little bit too overpowered, and I'm trying to find the right balance of like having items show up as rewards, but also having items not just completely break the balance of the game. So we're on to the 3rd floor, which is the boss floor. So we're about to fight the boss. Although I have 1 health, so I'm like, even in the recording, I'm like, but all right. So there's some barrels here, which might have health items. Oh, there's one. Great. Okay, great. And okay, one more. Nope, nothing. All right. Well, we're gonna go in with 2 hearts. However, there is one feature that I haven't shown off yet, which is the limit break. So this like flashing orange bar in the middle, that's like you accrue that bar as you make matches, but then you can, once it fills up, you can use it, and then you can move as many gems as you want without causing enemies to move. So normally if you move a gem, every time you move a gem, enemies take a turn, but while you're in limit break mode, you can move around as many gems as you want. So I'm taking advantage of that by just building up way too much guard, way too much like shield hearts, and picking off some of these enemies. So this boss fight, there are 2 boss fights currently in the game, and I intend to add a whole lot more. But this boss, what he does is he just summons skeletons. So if you're not careful, the room just becomes overrun with skeletons, and they're very hard to deal with because there's just too many of them. But what I'm doing is I'm just gonna pick them off so that way they're easier to deal with. And he's about to summon another one, but that's fine. Now he's hiding in the corner because he's afraid, rightfully so. I am a force to be reckoned with.
5 shield hearts don't hurt either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, he can keep hitting me. I don't mind. You can see I was considering using the 3x sword there, but I was like, I don't want to waste it on this guy. He's only got 1 health left. Like
Confidence there, though.
Yeah. You know, like just minutes ago, I was like afraid to go into this fight because I was worried I didn't have enough health. What I have found, it's a little unfair with the fact that, you know, this is my gameplay recording, so you're watching me play, which I think is very different from how most people play. Because most people tell me the game is too hard, and I find the game is too easy. So I'm gonna have a very fun balance crisis to deal with eventually, but I'll cross that bridge when I come to it.
Clearly, that means you're just too good at video games.
That is categorically untrue, but perhaps I'm too good at this game.
Seeing those 2 flashing prismatic gems next to each other, just the ooh shiny in my brain was like, just touch them together, it'll be fine.
What could possibly go wrong? All right, so now I'm just gonna grind this guy into paste real quick, and we did it. Beat the boss.
You did it.
Hooray! And there's my little celebratory dance.
Oh,
I love it. Oh, you mentioned you have 2 bosses in the game at the current moment, and you're planning on putting in more. Is it going to be a full implementation of those bosses, or are you going to kind of roll them out as you go over time?
That's a good question. I think I haven't really thought about it, but my idea is basically to add bosses as they're easy to add. So I'm adding features just all over the place, and some of those features will enable me to add boss fights. Like for instance, right now water doesn't really behave in any interesting way. Like, you know, water is just a wall that you can shoot projectiles over. And there are certain enemies that can walk on water and certain enemies that can't. So like, you know, that affects their pathfinding and stuff like that. What I want to do is add like a swimming mechanic where like you can walk into the water, but when you're in the water, that affects your mobility or your abilities in some way. And then if I do that, then I can then add like a Kraken boss, like, you know, a boss that is like centered around being in the water. So it's just a matter of like what features are around that I'll make adding bosses easier.
I'm curious to hear a little bit more about, you know, the fact that the dungeons are randomly generated. I think what we saw in your playthrough was really cool because you spend, I'm sure, a lot of time playing this game, and even still you had moments where you were like, oh, are you going to make it or not? And that was really cool to see, and I am interested to see how it could carry over to my own playthroughs and things like that. But I'm curious to hear about kind of the design process of the dungeons and what you did on the back end to make sure each playthrough feels different from the last one you did.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is trying to get as much mileage out of the content you create as possible. Like, you know, I'll show a little bit behind the scenes. Why not? That's what people are here for, right? So this is all of the room templates that I have so far.
Oh, this is so cool.
Yeah, don't look directly at them. But these are all the room templates that I have. And like, so, you know, I have this room, for instance. But when I created this room, like I dynamically generate all variants of this room, including like this room, but rotated 90 degrees or rotated 180 degrees, or this room, but mirrored. So like, you know, even though I have this one simple room, this is actually like 5 rooms in one. And that gets a little bit more interesting when you have a room like this that like, you know, let's see if I have I do have the key binding set up. So like you can mirror it or rotate it. I don't know if I have a hotkey to rotate it. I don't remember. I don't remember all my tooling, but I'm able to get a lot more mileage out of, you know, I create one room, but in game you can experience it as 7 different rooms. And it doesn't quite feel the same.
That's
There's a second half to your
cool.
question.
Thank you for giving us a peek behind the curtain.
We did have a question from chat. What is your favorite enemy so far?
Well, it's a good thing we're in the editor. I can pop in and look. Well, let's see. I mean, there's. I mean, I think it's got to be actually this. This guy. We got a little sneak preview of. So this is. I did a game jam while I was working on 3 in a Rogue, and actually here we'll show you his intro cinematic. I was making a game jam game for Ludum Dare called Oculus Leviathan, where you play as this giant eyeball who like swims around in the ocean eating fish. And I just decided to make him a boss. And like, you know, he has this sort of like eerie, all the animation is dynamic. So like, I didn't draw any sprites for this eyeball. It's all drawn like as the game is running. And he's just really creepy, and he shoots a white line into his eye that's like impales you and pulls you in. Like he's terrifying, and I love him.
I love it. That's really cool.
I gotta be honest, Wyatt. I don't like the way he's looking at me. I'm just saying. I don't like it. He's giving me that look, and I'm not a fan. He's giving me the stink eye, man. I don't like it.
You're saying that would it be better if there were 2 of them? With that?
No. I don't need 2 eyes staring at me. That's even worse. Giving me the stink eye from across the map.
They follow your cursor too.
Yeah. only
into my
in the
soul.
map editor. Yeah, like I said, like because it draws it dynamically, so like I can make him look wherever I want. And normally when you're in game, he like looks at where the player is, which is feels very ominous. But in the editor, I had him follow your cursor originally because like it would look for the player and it wouldn't find it because there's no player in the editor. It would crash, so it had to follow something. And like it's way more exciting for it to follow your cursor just because you get to experience that.
Make him cross-eyed too.
But that's my favorite enemy. Can make him cross-eyed? Well, kinda.
I got my eye on you, Leviathan.
Yeah, I'll make him go away.
Also have your eye on me as well. Okay, so we'll call it a draw. I think I could beat him in a staring contest. That's all I'm saying. I think I could beat him in a staring contest.
You think so?
Could be.
I don't know
I'm gonna
about
use a bow, but yeah, I'm gonna use a bow in my staring contest. So
I feel like he's got double the chance of winning that. He just double the chance of winning that staring contest right there.
Theoretically, I have 4 times the chance of winning because I have glasses. So in theory, that works, right, chat? That tracks. It sounds good in my head, at least.
Makes sense to me.
That dude's gonna when I go to play this game, that dude is gonna annihilate me the first time in the room. I'm gonna come into that boss fight with 1 health and not a single shield anywhere in the match, and he's gonna go, "Hey, you remember 6 Online 2021? You talking crap the whole time? I'd like to introduce you to Death. Death, Alchemist, Death."
And with that, that brings us to the end of this wonderful segment. Thank you so much, Wyatt, for showing us 3 in a Rogue, and also for being so open with us and showing us behind the scenes and stuff. That was super cool. If everybody wants to go check out 3 in a Rogue, where can they do that?
Well, the most best possible thing you could do is you can find it on Steam and you can hit that wishlist button because that will please the algorithm gods, and that's truly all that matters in this 2021 dystopia that we live in. But you can also find it on notexplosive.net/6. You can find a link to my newsletter so you can get updates. If you want to play the Game Jam build, you can find that on notexplosive.net as well. It's quite different than the game that you saw at this presentation today, but you can see kind of, how it was and where it's going. How does that meme go? I don't know. I'm not hip on the modern internet. How it was, how it's going. I think I got it. I don't know.
Close enough.
Yes, 10 out of 10.
Nailed it.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. It was really great to get to chat with you. We're going to toss to a quick break now. But before we do that, we've got some